Hello everyone, welcome to my channel ML Guru. My name is Arjun Pukal. In this video, we will continue our discussion on logistic regression. In this particular video, we will start with integrating a loss function with this model. So here is the overview of your training of sigmoid model. So you had your single variable feature inside your dataset denoted by this small x. For example, we had seen a dataset in which this x denoted the salary of the person and it had a true label associated with it denoting that whether a person with this particular salary had purchased a car or not. For passing this particular single feature to this model for making prediction, we have to first multiply it with a weight w and add a bias to it. So the reason why we have represented like this is because we have to pass the weighted sum of the inputs with the weight and bias to the sigmoid model. So first we multiply this w with x, you get this wx, and let's imagine there is a second column in the x part of the dataset which contains just 1 for all the rows. So multiplying this 1 with b gives you the b itself, and hence we get this wx plus b, and then we pass this wx plus b, or the weighted sum of the input features, to this sigmoid model, which is denoted by this g, which is nothing but a mathematical function which is represented using this equation, which is 1 over 1 plus e power minus wx plus b. Now let us say we have some values of let's say we have randomly initialized the values of this w and b, or someone has given us the value of w and b for now. So given the value of w, x and b, we can now calculate this value, which is denoted by this y hat, which gives you the prediction made by this model on your data. Also you have your true label associated with this particular input. Now you know your predicted value and you have your true value, so you can calculate the loss which describes the error between these two values. Once you calculate your loss, you have to back propagate this loss to your model so that it can update its learnable parameters. The learnable parameters are nothing but your weight w and b bias. Then how we will update these values? We will update it using the gradient descent update rule. It is a similar procedure which we had done in the case of regression. The only difference is your model was a linear model, here it is a sigmoid model. Now the gradient descent update rule which we had discussed earlier also is given by this particular equation, in which you update your current value of your learning parameter, in this case w and b, by first calculating the partial derivative of this particular loss function with respect to this learning parameter, multiply it by the learning rate to control the update size, and then you get your new value of your learning parameter. So these two formulas are similar, just the learning parameter is different. Now let's see which loss function to use. Till now we have only seen one loss function, which is the mean squared error loss function, which we had also used in regression. Now we will try to use the same loss function for now. So this particular loss function is given by this formula. We had discussed about this in detail when we were discussing regression. Now let's recap our dataset. This dataset contains just a single variable, single input feature in your x part. For example, here it is the salary of the user in lakhs per annum. You have your true label column, which denotes that whether this particular user had purchased the car or not, for this particular example. And now let's say you have some values of w and b, so you can now calculate your prediction on each of these values. So this last column denoted by y hat tells you the predicted value of your sigmoid model on each of these rows. Now let's look at some notations. Here I denote the row number. It starts from 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth till m. So indeed you have m rows in your data set. Each row can be represented as xi comma yi. For example, let us take the value of I equal to 2, meaning let's look at the second row. Here x2 is 4.5, y2 is 0, and y2 hat is 0.4, which is your prediction. Now suppose you had to calculate the squared error difference between these two values, your predicted value and your actual value. You just calculate like this. Now this was your mean squared error loss function, which is the summation of the squared difference between your predicted value and your actual value. You calculate this for each ith point or ith row in your data set. You sum it up and then take the average. Also, if you are surprised why you have this 2 here instead of just 1 over m, this 2 is because it is just for simplification. In this video, in the later part, we will see why we have to add this 2. So this loss function denoted by capital L depends on your predicted value, which is given by your sigmoid function formula. So for any ith point, you have to just input your xi, you have your value of w and b, it will give you a value, and we denote it by yi hat, meaning it is the predicted value corresponding to your ith row. Now let's see how we calculate the partial derivative of this loss function denoted by capital L with respect to the learnable parameters of your sigmoid model or your logistic regression model, which are nothing but your weight w and your bias p. Now we will follow the similar procedure which we had followed during deriving this partial derivative for the case of regression model. So let's continue. This was your loss function. It depends on yi hat. That's why I have written the formula of yi hat here separately. We have to calculate the partial derivative of this thing with respect to w. So let's substitute the value of L from this equation here. Now as you can see, this 1 over 2m is just a constant, so we take it out of this derivative. Now you are left with a summation inside a derivative. Now you may be knowing that there is a formula in derivatives that the derivative of a summation is equal to the sum of the derivatives. For example, look here, you have to calculate the derivative of the sum of these two terms. So what we do is we calculate the individual derivatives of these two terms and then add it up. So we will use the same concept here. We will take this derivative inside and apply it to each of this summation term individually. As you can see, we have expanded this summation. Here I varies from 1 to m. Now as you can see, every term in this summation differs just by the value of I. So we will see how to calculate this partial derivative for any ith term in this summation, and then we can generalize it for all the terms. So let's take any ith term in this summation, which is given by yi hat minus yi the whole square, and we have to calculate the partial derivative of this. Let's start by calculating the partial derivative with respect to your weight w. Now this term depends on your yi hat. So I have written the formula of yi hat, which in turn depends on your weighted sum, which I am denoting by z. And your z is nothing but your weighted sum of your inputs, which is nothing but w times xi plus b. Now we will apply the concept of chain rule to first break this derivative into small parts which can be easily calculated, and then calculate each of these terms separately and then just multiply it. So let's see how we break this derivative term into chain. So the first term in this chain is the partial derivative of this thing with respect to yi hat. As I have told you, it depends on yi hat, so it will be easy to calculate this. And then as you can see, this yi hat in turn depends on your z, so we will then calculate the partial derivative of y hat with respect to z. We have to finally calculate with respect to w. So we have to, the last term will be the partial derivative of this z with respect to w. Now let's calculate the first term, which is very simple. We have to just apply the power rule over here. So we take this 2 here down, and you are left with 2 minus 1, which is just 1, multiplied by the partial derivative of the term inside this bracket with respect to y I had, which is nothing but 1, because this term becomes 0. So this thing multiplied by 1 is nothing but this term itself. Now let's calculate the second term, which is the partial derivative of y I hat with respect to z. So here you have your y I hat, which is nothing but the formula of your sigmoid function, and we have to calculate this with respect to your z. So this is given by this particular formula. So let's prove this equation. So let's first substitute the value of y I hat from this equation in this derivative. Now imagine this is 1 over x, and you have to calculate the derivative of 1 over x with respect to x, which is nothing but minus 1 over x square. So you have written this, instead of x you have 1 plus e power minus z. But now we have to also calculate the partial derivative of this term inside this bracket with respect to z and multiply it. So this particular term I have written as it is, and the derivative of 1 plus e power minus z with respect to z is nothing but minus e power minus z, because the derivative of a constant is 0. So you get this. Now I have rewritten it in such a way that I have taken one term from this square under this particular term. So I have written in this way. Now if you observe, also this minus cancel out with this particular minus. Now if you see, this particular term is nothing but your y I hat itself. So I have written your y I hat, and this particular term is nothing but 1 minus y I hat. So if you subtract this particular thing from 1, you will get this thing. You can try it out yourself. So we have finally proved this thing. Now let's calculate the last term in this chain rule, which is the partial derivative of this z with respect to w, which is this xi, because this will become 0, and it is like the derivative of any constant multiplied by x with respect to x is equal to the constant term. So in this case, this xi is acting like a constant, so you get this constant itself. So now we have calculated the partial derivative of this particular squared error term with respect to w, which is given by this particular equation. Now for calculating the partial derivative of the same thing with respect to b, the only difference in this chain rule is the last term. As you can see, we have to calculate the partial derivative of z with respect to b instead of w here, and these two terms are same, so we copy these two things as it is here. Now we have to calculate the partial derivative of z with respect to b. This term becomes 0 because it is constant when you calculate it with respect to b, and the partial derivative of b with respect to b is 1. So instead of xi you get 1, and the rest of the things are same. Now once we have calculated this partial derivative for ith term, we can substitute it for all the terms in this summation. So here I have only substituted the value of I, which varies from 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth up till m. Now comes the point where I will tell you why we had added this 2 in this loss function, because as you can see, there is a 2 common in all the terms in this summation. So we take out this 2 common, and this common 2 cancel out with this 2 in the denominator, and hence we had introduced that 1 over 2m in our loss function to just simplify this expression, nothing else. It doesn't even matter if you put here 2, 3 or 4 or anything. We had just added it for simplification purpose. and we repeat the same thing for b. So the only difference between these two summation is instead of xi at the end of every term, we have 1 at the end of every term, which doesn't matter if we multiply it with this term, because 1 multiplied by anything gives the term itself. And once we have calculated the value of the partial derivative of this loss with respect to w and b, we can now apply our gradient descent update rule. Also, one thing to notice here is this term gives you a scalar value in return. Why? Because each term in this summation is a scalar value. So summation of scalar gives you scalar value itself, and this w and b initially was scalar, a scalar in itself. So we are just subtracting two scalar values and we get the updated values of w and b. So the point here is, as we keep on updating the values of w and b using gradient descent update rule, the difference between our predicted value and the actual value reduces. So your prediction comes closer and closer to your true value. Now in next video, what we'll do is what we have learned in this video, all this derivation, we will apply it using Python, and we will code it with Scratch and implement our logistic regression single variable model. And we will also visualize this loss surface, as you can see in these two figures. We will implement this in Python in the next video. Thank you.